Today is going to be an opportunity for all of you to get to know John Smallwood even better. We're going to go through 20 questions to find out a little bit more about his history, who he is as a person, and what he does for people just like you. How are you doing?
I'm well, you?
I am doing well myself, and let's just jump right in because I think these questions are really going to be eye-opening for a lot of our listeners. So the first question is, why did you decide to work in financial services? And tell us your history, please.
So I started in the industry in May of 1990 on a full-time basis. But prior to that, in college, I had sold boats, and one summer I worked for Principal Mutual in the life insurance and disability area. And I became very intrigued with what was happening there. Most people that I was talking to didn't understand insurance, didn't understand how to protect their wealth. And meanwhile, while I was at Bentley College at the time, it's now become a better institution than when I was there. But Bentley College I had a concentration in financial planning. So I started to see how the financial services industry could really help people and you could make a difference. And what was interesting is my major, people were graduating with a degree in economics and finance, and they were getting jobs that were basically mutual fund accountants, which you do the pricing of the mutual fund at the end of the day. It was to me, it wasn't a very exciting job. And I felt that making a difference in people's lives, taking the information I've learned from a financial perspective and applying it to people's lives, would be a lot more exciting. And it's proved to be that over the 26, 27 years that I've been in this field.
So who do you work with and what is your specialty?
We work with predominantly business owners and corporate executives. And when I say business owners, it's people who own their own companies. Sometimes there's 3, 4, 5 partners that are in some sort of niche industry. They could be in the trucking industry. They could be a physician. They could be an attorney, but they kind of in charge of their destiny. And the corporate executives that we work with are in financial services corporations who are at higher levels, who have bonus structures and similar control, not the same, but a very complex set of benefits and financial rewards that need to be navigated and need to be understood. So they're two distinct type of clients, but that's who we basically work with. And then we have a lot of clients who are retired, but mostly retired from those resources.
Gotcha. Who is your ideal client? So as we look at that, out of all of those people you just talked about, who's ideal? What is the picture perfect? I love these kind of people. More than anything, what do they look like?
It's an interesting question because the person that we work best with has had a frustration level for years that they were missing something in their financial advice. They would go somewhere, they'd get information from somebody, and then they'd get information from another person, but nobody could really help them navigate through all of their financial decisions. And when we meet that person, they realize this is what I've been looking for, somebody that could help me with protecting and growing and saving and distributions and understand the intricate details of all of those things, not just a one-sided approach. And that person is kind of open to that they realize that while they're successful and they've accumulated wealth, there's more to the planning than what meets the eye in most cases. So that person is a unique person to fully understand that there's a bigger picture out there.
Well, let's talk about that picture. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want you to flesh this out and unpack this more. What do you do in that process? So we've identified these right people. What do they get when they're working with you?
So the end result is, as we work with them, there's like 6 key factors that we try to accomplish with everybody. And we start off with everybody's upset with the amount of taxation that they're paying in their plan. And we find that most plans, most people are paying more taxes. So our focus is on reducing taxes. It's reducing risk from all types of risk, from investment risk to tax law risk, to estate planning risk, to premature death risk, to long-term care risk, to longevity risk, reducing all of those risks. identifying where the fees and costs and overlaps are and developing strategies to reduce the fees, to reduce the costs, not just in today's plan, but in the strategies that you're following. Most strategies are designed to increase costs and increase fees. What we want to make sure is that we're constantly focusing on minimizing and keeping those costs and fees low. What we want to look at is that because the plans are inefficient, when you reorganize them in a more efficient manner, you actually accumulate more wealth. And that's the focus, is over, if you're meeting me and you're 45 or 55 years old and you're gearing towards retirement, the goal is to accumulate more wealth so that in retirement, we can help you identify strategies that you can increase the retirement income without that fear of running out of money, and then pass more money to your family. So it's reduce taxes, reduce risk, reduce fees and costs, accumulate more wealth, increase retirement income, and pass more to your family.
How do you acquire people like this? Where do you find, do you do seminars? Do you do workshops? Are you referral only? How do you acquire new clients?
Referrals are probably one of the greatest compliments that our clients can provide us. And every year, we get a tremendous amount of people sharing what we do and working with us. So referrals is a large source of our new clients. Another large source of that is we're very involved in our community, so that we meet a lot of people and people say, what is it that you do? And then they come in. But we also, from time to time, we're doing seminars and workshops that also attracts people to learn more about what we do. We have a blog post, we have a YouTube channel, and the idea is that we want people to understand what it is that we do and make sure that we're a really good fit for them before we, get deep into the weeds.
How do you educate people? So I know that you educate your clients. What sort of community education that you do on top of the education you do for your clients?
When you say community education, what do you?
Well, a lot of professionals like yourself try to find opportunities to give back. And you just said that you're involved with networking or getting out into the community. And I'm making an assumption there that you help educate your community at the same time.
True. From time to time, we've done tutoring in the high schools. We've done reading. We've done events where you have career day, where you're bringing somebody in, a young person in high school, and exposing them to what goes on. We have a lot of interns that we have work with us during the summers so they can get more exposure to this. Probably the greatest way that we're doing education is through the blog posts and writing and YouTube channel, where we're trying to provide information to people that is of value.
Sure. Wonderful. Who's on your team and what do they do?
We have a team that consists of 2 financial advisors, myself and Edward Bao. We are the lead financial advisors who design the plans and come up with the strategies for the clients. Our team that consists of Haley Marcus, Leanne Menzel, Jenny Sherman, Ellen Alcache. That team, everybody has a specific role in the implementation of a client's financial strategy. So each person might be dealing with the coordination with the attorneys to get the wills and the trusts and the ownership done right. Jenny Sherman is working with people on their life insurance and their disability and the beneficiary changes and the ownership changes. Haley Marcus and Leanne Menzel are helping people with their investments, where making sure that the applications are done properly and the retirement income is generated properly, or the savings is being put into the right places, and making sure that all of those aspects of the business is running smoothly. So we have we're adding additional power planners to our team as we speak, so that my goal always in creating the firm is that I want to provide an extraordinary service set to our clients, so that if I'm on a client meeting or not in the office, when somebody calls into the office, they can get service immediately, no matter what they're dealing with. And if there's something that can't be answered, my team will get to us, one of the advisors, get the right answer and get back to the client so they can get a quick resolution to any issue, concern, or problem that they may have.
Obviously, you hinted towards your education earlier, but let's break down the education you have a little bit more. What education from a general education perspective do you have? And then what sort of advanced designations or advanced training have you gone through?
So I'm a graduate of Bentley College. I have a degree. It was an economics and finance major. It was a concentration in financial planning. I have a Series 7 license. I have a life insurance license, I believe. Those things are core in that. But in 1994, I received a certified financial planning designation. And that has, as a certified financial planner, that is dealing with every aspect of a financial plan, from the estate planning to, simple cash flows. And that is something that requires a tremendous amount of ongoing education and updating and review and CE credits and keeping current. And that's one of my most important parts, is keeping current on tax law changes and investment changes and what's going on in the general landscape of the world.
And there's so much going on that it's phenomenal that you are continuing to sharpen your saw and make sure you keep your fingers on the pulse of what's going on with our country from a financial services and a life perspective. And talking about a life perspective, let's take a step back and talk about your financial philosophy. If you had a client or a prospect ask you, a prospective client, and said, okay, John, tell me a little bit about what you believe from a financial services perspective philosophy, how would you answer that question?
Well, there's a formula that has driven me for my entire career. And for the plan to be your full financial potential, everybody has a financial potential based upon their income, their assets, etc., right? For that plan to be optimal, it has to have the maximum amount of protection. Simultaneously, it has to have the maximum amount of money supply or money that's being invested in it. If the plan is all protection or all savings, it's not going to work in the long run. So what you really have to discover is what is that equilibrium for the individual's plan. And there is no one, surefire way to success. It's in a very simple terms, the industry is out there basically saying that my financial product is the miracle to everything that you have. And my product's going to solve all your problems, right? And that's really wonderful. But that's not true, okay? It's how you coordinate and bring multiple financial products together in an organized manner for you. That's what's most important. And the idea is when you put them together in the right mix or the right strategy, the plan should reduce your taxes. It should reduce all of your risks. It should reduce your fees and costs. It should accumulate more wealth, increase your retirement income, and pass more to your family. Of the 6 things, if it doesn't possess all of those 6 things, lisp, nice. If it doesn't possess all of those 6 factors, my question is, why do it?
Sure.
If it increases your taxes, it increases your risk. And that's what people don't get. They're looking for that simple, what's your financial philosophy and do I align with your financial philosophy? And the reality is it's simple. And if I can reduce taxes, reduce risk, reduce your fees and costs, help you accumulate more wealth, help you increase your retirement income and pass more to your family, did I miss anything?
I can't think of anything you missed there at all.
And which one of those do you not want?
Well, I want all of those, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense, John. I agree.
All right.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So that's the philosophy. And you end up an ever-changing piece because life is changing. Every single day something happens that's either in our control or out of our control. Sometimes both.
Well, when you're not working and having your nose to the grindstone here and learning more about what's going on and keeping abreast of all of the newest and latest, greatest products and services out there, what do you do for fun, man?
Fun is really important to me. And that balance of work and life is really important. I spend a tremendous amount of time with my children throughout the years in coaching them, being at their games, being present. It was really, really important to me. We ski together, we fish together, we golf together, we boat together, we travel together. And these are the things that are so important, is that time together where you're lost in the skiing or the fishing or just drifting down a river, and then that conversation just comes out and you have this amazing thing. But I also do it with my friends. I also do it by myself. That's where the whole idea is, to enjoy this life as fully as you possibly can and have that balance. Because as they say, life is short and you want to enjoy the now. I mean, you don't want to put off things till tomorrow that you can do today.
Who's your hero?
Fundamentally, I come back to Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters. And
really?
I don't know. Yeah.
I know who that is, but he also happened to be the drummer for Nirvana. Where did Dave Grohl come from? I can honestly say I have yet to hear that one.
In the early 90s, Nirvana was huge, and they changed music. They changed the landscape of music. And we all know Kurt Cobain ended his life, and, it was over. And I kind of think about that from the perspective of when Jim Morrison was gone and the Doors were no more. The Doors the remaining members of the Doors never really did anything. Right. They were, I'm the drummer of the Doors. Okay. Dave Grohl had this opportunity at the time to be the drummer for Tom Petty's band, and who in the early 90s was one of the biggest bands in the world, along with Nirvana. And he said, nah, I want to follow my passion. And he went into his garage and he recorded every instrument, every part of his first album, and he created this concept called the Foo Fighters. And the first album was him 100%. And he poured all of this passion into it. And as a result of pouring his passion into it and being authentic to who he was, he's created one of the largest rock band brands in the world at this point. Just had a big, concert out in California that a couple of my son's friends went, and they texted me and they said, "Wish you were here, Mr. Smallwood. It would be really good." And I said, "So do I, boys."
Yeah, that would be great.
But he's one of those people that just lives with the passion of what he does, and he loves what he does, and being in the studio is not a chore to him because that's what he does. And that's what I love about him. He just living his life and being who he is and authentic to who he is.
If you had all of the money in the world that you ever needed, what would you do differently than you're doing today?
That's a really hard question. If you had all the money that you needed in the world, so that means that, all of your income and your charitable contributions and all of that was taken care of, it comes down to making the biggest difference that you could make in the world. And I think probably one of the most important things is helping people understand their potential. And investing in people, I think, would really be one of the most influential things that I could do. That you can start your own business. Yes, you can be an entrepreneur, and you can be in charge of your destiny and set goals and be who you want to be. I think that's really how I would want to focus people in the world and help them push through the barriers that stop them from living the life that they really want to live. Maybe a coach of some sort.
Okay.
A life coach of some sort.
Who's your favorite person in history and why?
Ben Franklin just seems to be somebody that if you look at his life, he did so many different things, from, being a publisher to being very involved in, the founding fathers, to being very instrumental in forming a college. He just seemed to be everywhere. And he had a massive impact on not just one small aspect of the world, but many different aspects of the world. And he seemed to be a person that is respected from his enemies also, from what we can gather today from the information that I've read about him.
Sure.
I'm sure there's there's something out there. But he seems to be the person that really lived a full and complete life and made a lot of contribution in his time that he was here.
Right.
But also seemed to be very relaxed. As a child, you saw documentaries where, he would take long walks and he would be out there doing things and living life and enjoying his surroundings. So he's one of those people in history that I look back at and say, thank you for being a founding father, because we have the opportunity to sit here on a podcast and be free to talk about what we want to talk about.
Yeah. And some would say that is an aspect of success. When you think of success, what comes to mind?
Success it's a balance. And true success is being happy with who you are and your surroundings. And if you're not, being big enough to navigate around those, and to be open and helping of people. I see a lot of financially successful people, but they're restrictive and they don't allow people to blossom. So to me, success is, doing what you do and doing it the best that you possibly can. No matter you're a person on a sport team, you run a business, you run a division for a company, you run a mail room, you run a customer service organization, you're the CEO. It doesn't really matter to me. Are you doing the best that you can in that area, and what steps are you taking to go to the next level? And do you have balance? Meaning, are you all work and no play, or are you all play and no work?
Mm-hmm.
Where's your balance? And I, to me, you look at some of the most financially successful people in the world, they never stop working because they love what they do.
Yeah.
Right. And work, they don't think of what they do as work. They think of what they do as their enjoyment, and they just keep giving back to, not so much to the community, but they give back through their company, through what it is that they do, and helping people create better lives.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really the most important part of success is enjoying where you are, appreciating where you are, and striving to get to the next level, but realizing where you've come from.
Richard Branson says, I don't believe that there's a difference between work and play. It's all just living. Name one thing that you recommend most to your family or friends. This could be a book, a song, something along those lines. What do you recommend most?
Depends on the day. Wine? No. I'm a huge fan of the Starwood Preferred Guest Card. I think I've referred more people to that credit card than anything because of the points that you get.
Huh.
And it's not an advertisement for them, but as you accumulate points, you can take advantage of hotels all over the world, and they're usually wonderful experiences. But I think it comes down to more of experiences, with your family. And that's really what I'm after, is if you can find time to be with your family and enjoy your family, no matter it's at a baseball game or going to look at colleges, which is something I do as a pastime now. I just look at colleges with 4 kids,
That's time consuming too. So, all right. Name one thing most people don't know about you.
I am actually a stutterer. And
really?
Yes, sir. And I was desperately afraid to talk in grammar school, kind of person that wouldn't put their hand up, didn't want to do the presentations in front of the classes. And in the early 1990s, I did a workshop, and I promoted the workshop through the local community. And I had about 25 or 35 people show up for this. And that stressed me out beyond belief. And
sure.
I started the presentation. I had about 45 slides. Back in the day, you had those overhead projectors.
Oh,
right?
I remember those. Yeah.
All right, so I start stuttering. I'm about 2 slides in. I stop. I take a breath, and I say, I've got 35 more to go. It's going to be a really long night.
Yeah.
And people started laughing. And I realized that's 26, 27 years ago. I still have clients from that seminar. And what I realized is that it didn't matter whether I stuttered or not. What mattered was my desire to share the information that I had, and that this is the turning point. People realized that if I had enough guts to get up and push through that, I must really believe in what I'm doing. And that kind of, it comes out every once in a while. It's funny. You'll see it. But it allowed me to release myself from the fear. And as a stutterer, you might be listening to this and you may be a stutterer. We as stutterers will think about whether or not we're going to stutter when we say the word. And if we've had a block in the past on a word, we're going to navigate around that word, because if I hit that word, I'm going to stutter.
Sure.
And we are, rather than thinking about what you and I are talking about, we're thinking about stuttering. So when you think about something, guess what? It happens, right?
Yeah.
So one of the trainings for me in life was to focus on the communication between you and I, and not worry about what I'm going to say next. Or more importantly, how am I going to say it?
Sure. Man, I didn't get that at all. Well, you have done an amazing job of working through that, because, I didn't pick up on that. Well, what is your mantra? So obviously putting self work in, right? Becoming a better person, overcoming stuttering, really passionately growing a magnificent business which you have built. What is your mantra? What is the thing that keeps you grounded and focused when things get kind of off track?
It's kind of dealing with plan B, right? We have plan A, it's how we want it to happen. But I've been a realist my entire life, which is plan B happens frequently. And how am I going to adapt to plan B when it happens? And I think that mantra is that life is full of obstacles and things that are not going to go the way you want them to go. And it's how you deal with it. But it's constantly focused on, what do I want to have happen? What's happening? Can I modify it, change it, and go in a different direction? And realize that in this business, very, very passionate about the quality of my work. I want to share what I do with as many people as I possibly can because I'm passionate about that, right? Mm-hmm. And the success in the business comes down to the quality of your work, the quantity of people that you share it with, and how people perceive it. I have control over the quality, and I have control over how many people I share it with. But I have no control over how you are going to perceive what it is that I do. And that comes from, there's a speaker in the industry, Nick Murray, perhaps you've seen him. That's one of his mantras. But it's so true that we focus on the quality of our work. And if we're skiing, we're focusing on the quality of our skiing. Okay. Mm-hmm. If we're doing financial planning, we're focusing on the quality of our financial planning and our advice and our thinking through the big picture. And that's the mantra, is forget about what people think and do. Dave Grohl, perfect example. Go back to that conversation is, people thought he was nuts. You could be the drummer of Tom Petty's band and sit back and make a 7-figure salary and, travel the world. No, I want to be who I am. So to me is, don't care about what people think. Just focus on quality and make that quality better and better and better. And sometimes you plant, my wife and I had this funny conversation back in May. We planted a whole bunch of flowers in the front yard, and about a month later, they just looked terrible. So we ripped them all out and we planted new ones. And 2 weeks later, they looked phenomenal. And, it didn't matter that we spent money on the flowers. It didn't matter that they were good flowers. It didn't matter. It just was a bad batch of flowers. And sometimes you go down a route and you make a bad decision and you need to unwind it. And failing fast is one of my big mantras. If I'm going to fail, I want to fail fast. And failure is the key to success, how you deal with it. Everybody fails. Some people stop when they fail. Other people push through. That's the success, is failure, fail often, and learn from it, and embrace failure as a really good thing, because it's really good when you fail.
What is your proudest achievement?
I'm very proud of the business that we built. I'm very proud of the team that we built. I have 4 children who are, 13 to 21. They've all done really, really well. I have a long-term marriage for 24 years. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of my contribution, I think. I think that's one of my things, is that I've contributed to the society, our community, the financial planning community. I share. I'm open. I'm relatively accepting of just things, and I got thick skin. So
okay.
I don't know. That's not really a great answer to your question, but it's a hard question.
Well, it is a tough question, and I think it's a good answer. And we ask these questions because philosophically they're to break down barriers so that when people listen to this, and when you send this to clients, and when you send this to people who you trust and respect in other industries, they have an opportunity to use this as a great introduction and cut through a lot of stuff, right? I mean, you've really touched on a lot of things, John, today that give us a good idea of your inner workings as a human being, not just as a financial services professional, but as a human who's coexisting on this planet and really wants to make this world a better place. So I appreciate your answers. I think they've been great. And now, just in the wrapping things up here, you have the attention of a lot of people here. What is the best way for people to reach out to you?
If you go to our website, smallwoodassociates.com, on there's our phone number, 732-542-1565. Call the office, talk to Ellen, schedule what we call a wealth curve conversation. It's a 30-minute, no obligation conversation about the financial pressures that you have while you're on our website. We have a couple of videos there's a 3-minute and 12-second video called Financial Planning, the Big Picture. There's about 42 wealth pressures that we identify in that 3 minutes. It's kind of funny. And you can schedule right on the website. You can you can request a copy of our 5 Ways Your Wealth is Under Attack book, and you can also request a meeting and get right on our calendar there. But I also, if you want to come in and talk, that's also something that you can do. Our doors are open. We're interested in relationships and long-term relationships. And that's really, we do not have a minimum client size. Mm-hmm. That's something that's very unique for us because what we're looking at is your financial future. If you have a financial future that you want to build, we want to help you build it. We want to be here for you.
All right. Well, John, thank you very much for your time today. I greatly, greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. Have a wonderful day.
And if you would like, please hit the subscribe button below so that anytime John does a podcast, it will show up immediately on your media device, whether that's your phone or your computer, so you can listen and keep John Smallwood close to you and find out more about who he is, what makes him tick, and what makes him truly unique and different. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Welcome to the end of the video. Smallwood Wealth Management is an investment advisor representative. The opinions expressed by Smallwood Wealth Management and guests on this show are their own. All statements and opinions expressed are based upon information considered reliable, although it should not be relied upon as such. Any statements or opinions are subject to change without notice. Information presented for this educational purposes only. Moreover, no listener should assume that any discussions or information presented serves as a receipt of or substitute for personalized advice from Smallwood Wealth Management or from any other investment professional and is not intended as an offer of solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. Smallwood Wealth Management is not a law firm or an accounting firm, and no portion of this presentation should be interpreted as legal, accounting, or tax advice. Information expressed does not take into account your specific situation or objectives and is not intended as a recommendations appropriate for any individual. Listeners are encouraged to seek advice from a qualified tax, legal, or investment advisor to determine whether any information presented may be suitable for their specific situation. Thank you for listening.